A day in the life of how this solution is used. The COVID-19 Help Score. Health, economic, lives, and people. Flying Phase is a consultancy comprised of experts in financial services and credit risk, bringing innovative data science tools and technologies to upset conventional wisdom and solve the hard problems. Our team today consists of Adam Gratzky, Kevin Baccaro, Parker Baroche, and Joseph White.
The whole world is learning all too well the risk factors and exacerbating factors that take COVID from potentially invisible to some to absolutely lethal to others. We have the tools to describe misery in our communities, but not all communities are made equal. Not every Virginian suffers through COVID in the same way. Some suffer from health factors that make COVID all but a death sentence, while some live in areas where social distancing is just not possible. Some don't have the luxury of simply working from home to ride it out like others.
Our Help Index leverages deep analysis of health, social, and economic data throughout the current COVID crisis to go beyond shallow metrics like age or income to bucket people into categories and call them at risk. Going beyond simple counts of cases or deaths, with this holistic view of health and economic impact, officials can review a heat map by neighborhood to see which communities are at risk and where a second wave of infections may cause the most health and economic suffering, so that resources and recovery efforts can be preemptively sent to those who need it most. We then visualize this in an interactive Tableau dashboard to give officials a visual representation of the data. So how does it work? We grab data for unemployment rate, COVID-19 hospitalizations and deaths, social vulnerability metrics, and demographic data. This was normalized across counties to highlight the relative impact of each score by census-tracked area.
The granularity and insight of the Virginia Help Score tool empowers state and county leaders with the power to selectively deploy their finite resources in the places that will have the highest impact. As we've seen, resources are limited when it comes to helping communities respond and thus must be allocated efficiently. From the perspective of a Department of Health official in Caroline County that has been issued a $100,000 grant for public health response, it's important to identify the most vulnerable communities and how to effectively aid them. Using the Help Score tool, we can actually identify the towns within Caroline County that are most heavily impacted by COVID. We can see that the county as a whole has not been heavily impacted, but Reedy Church, Virginia, has a much higher Help Score than the rest of the county. This allows the county executive for Caroline County to mobilize resources and send economic aid to neighborhoods within Reedy Church, that way maximizing the impact. Now, taking a step back, from the perspective of a state treasury official looking at the entire Commonwealth of Virginia, we need to understand where we can set COVID-19 aid to both support health and economic recovery. As a state treasury official, we can understand the varying degrees of risk for each county, both across health and economic dimensions. Clark County has been very limitedly affected on both dimensions, while Richmond City is suffering economically, and Portsmouth City suffering both economically and across risk and infection. This empowers the state official to preemptively design a response tailor-made to the needs of each county, such as deploying tests and radio ads for Portsmouth City and arranging extensions and preventing layoffs to soften the economic blow within Richmond City. Looking beyond, we've identified opportunities to continue growing the Help Score tool, specifically by adding behavioral metrics. This includes mass usage, frequency of air travel, and even curfew indicators, which would allow us to understand program effectiveness on reducing suffering in vulnerable communities. So what is this all for? They say that knowledge is power, but 2020 has left many of us feeling powerless. Tapping into the data and tools at our disposal to gain clarity and understanding of this crisis is impactful, but truly wielding that understanding as a light in the darkness can restore the power we need to protect our neighbors and persevere.